can do that with. So I worked around that by using drum loops and then bringing drummers in and playing along with the loops and bringing other musicians in and recording one track at a time and then mixing it all together. So it ends up sounding like a band playing in a room together, but that's not how it was done. And I found that technique gave me a little more creativity, that I could do more by doing one track at a time than laying down a big drum groove and doing your normal recording style. And that's the concept behind the County Well.
Okay, they're very interesting. As I said, we're encountering more and more of that now. I know that Country Well is on Floating Records. Is that your label?
Yes, that's my label. I started it many years ago on a houseboat in Sausalito, California, where we were floating.
Oh, wow.
A love for vinyl records, and it's gone through many iterations, and we're coming back a little bit with some new music. I'm happy about it.
Nothing wrong with that, and we're glad to hear it. It's always good to know when somebody is coming through like that. And, of course, we grew up in the radio era, so we played a heck of a lot of vinyl between our home life and our professional life, so we can identify with that. Now, tell us a little bit about the people. I know you featured Michaela French on this song. I know there's some other voices involved. Tell us about the people that are working with you on this.
Well, so it started out in Marin County in the Bay Area of outside of San Francisco, California. And I had a recording studio, and people who would come to my studio and record their tracks, and I would kind of throw them on my tracks. And that's where this kind of developed. I moved to the Wood River Valley area of Idaho and started doing the same thing, and I'm now using some of the local musicians, Michaela French. There's a drummer named Josh Kelly who's amazing, a bass player, Lyle Evans, and I've been using them. I also can mail my tracks to various people. So the horn parts are done by Bob Heminger in Pagosa Springs, Colorado. So I get to pick and choose a little bit about who I want, but I have some amazing, talented musicians in my neighborhood, and I'm starting to use them more.
Well, I can identify with that. That's one of the glories and benefits of the technology era that we live in, the fact that you can do this, where you can send the tracks, receive tracks, put them all together. As a matter of fact, we've had more than one act on the show. We had a group called the I Band, who are from 3 or 4 different parts of the world, and they recorded their music on their iPhones. And our other guest, who's coming in after we talk with you, is calling from Scotland, and she got together with a gentleman who unfortunately is not going to be able to be with us here today, but they got together on the internet. He's in France and she's in Scotland, and I don't know about now, but when we played their music earlier this year, they had never met. So I can identify with that. It's really neat what can be done with today's technology. One of the great things about technology today is that you can be in 2 different places. For example, I'm here in the Phoenix area of Arizona, and John Bon Jovial is down there in Florida in the Naples-Fort Myers area, and he can jump in like this and just ask you a question from there. John?
I could, if I were so inclined, and it's a good thing that I am. Hey, first, Don, welcome to the show. We are awfully glad to have you here, and I know that you hail from a beautiful part of the world. I wanted to ask you, though, about your studio. You say that it's a small studio. Is there room enough to have more than one musician in there at a time so you can play off of each other, or is it just a singular kind of thing?
You could have more than one musician in there at the same time, but as for the recording part of it, I've really found that I understand a lot of people want to get the band groove sound together. It's kind of a unique situation that I play with other people, but when they come to my studio, more often I'm using them to record my material, and we don't really rehearse it, and we talk about it, we go through it one track at a time. But so for the recording part of it, to have 3 people in there trying to record would be more like a live recording, not a real traditional studio recording, which is what I'm going after more so. And I think it's just a personal preference. I like to isolate the tracks and be able to work with them individually. And it started out as people would come in and think that's a bit of a detriment because we weren't getting that kind of band feel together. But after we listened back to it and after the finished product came out, it was no one's complaining. We're going to keep on doing it. It really, I found that it adds. You get another dimension when you just have that one track recorded individually without any bleed.
That leads me to my next question, and that is analog versus digital. Do you use one or the other or both?
I am digital, and it's really just convenience. The analog gear and how to use it, it's just, it's not that it's beyond me. It's just I haven't taken the time to go into that. And I also find that with all this, the way people nowadays are really listening to music, you're going to put a lot of effort into getting that analog sound, and it's well worth it. But the people who are listening to it most of the time are listening to MP3s on their computer. So it's just like, why? Well, unless you do go down and make unless you do. I worked with Jeffrey Halford, and we made vinyl records, and we went analog. That it wasn't at my studio, but it was a wonderful thing to. If you're going to make a vinyl record and go down that road, then by all means. But I don't have that capability, and I'm just pretty content with what I'm getting done here.
Well, David and I are both, analog guys living in a digital world. We're both comfortable with a block, a razor blade, a piece of tape, and a grease pencil for our editing. And for many years we did it, and you perfected it to the point to where you could listen as hard as you wanted to. You would never be able to detect that edit. And I don't know. I guess that we're dinosaurs. I feel sometimes that the technical world is passing us by, but
you can only run so fast.
That's right.
Lately, I have, out of necessity, I have taught myself some digital editing so that I can do the edits on our show when it's done. I still got it's still a work in progress. I'm doing some OJT on that, on-job training, but I am grasping the concept, and I am able to get it done. But I can understand where you're coming from. Two factors: one, make the most of what you've got and make it work for you, and two, if you can do that and you like what you're doing and how it's coming out, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. And judging from what I heard on that first track, of course, I have the advantage I've heard more than one track, but from what I've heard, there's nothing wrong with what you're producing. It's coming off fine, and a listener would never know that you weren't in the studio together, that you weren't physically working with each other. So excellent job, Don.
Oh, thank you so much. That made my day. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad, because it's true. You got a great sound there, and the track we're going to close with, I got to say, a couple of the tracks, including this one, had me flashing back. As John mentioned, we're dinosaurs. We go back a few years. This one, not all the way back, but it does. Some of the vocal tracks in a couple of the songs take me back to a little bit of Polk Salad Annie. I mean, I don't know if there was any intent for that sound, but I did pick up on that, and I'm saying, wow, that's a little bit like old Polk Salad Annie there with Tony Joe White. It took me a second.
Tony Joe
the
White.
name.
Oh, that wasn't done intentionally, but I'm thrilled to have that name dropped in there as well. He's a towering figure in the music world.
Oh, absolutely. And you got a touch of that in a couple of your songs where where you or whoever happens to be singing kind of half talks and gives it that that deep South feel. You almost expect the gator to come up any moment, chomp, chomp. But I tell you, we really like what you're doing with this music here. And what do you got planned? What's coming up in the future for you?
Well, when I finished this record, I had to pick and choose. So I continue to write and record. I really love the process. I make it part of my day and my life. So I ended up with songs, and then I had to pick and kind of come up with this little concept of, this is where this is going. And I realized that the Drink More concept was just it was a feel good. It's not go out there and, hurt people or hurt yourself or do damage.
Sure.
It's let's relax and enjoy ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And things are going to be okay. So I kind of picked the songs around a real nice, this is all nice, good feeling stuff. And then I realized the songs that I omitted were the ones that were a little deeper and darker of, some bad people up again in a spaghetti Western themed song or something. So I moved those aside and now I'm finishing those up and going to have our next County Well album, which at the moment is tentatively called Villains and Visionaries.
I can't wait to hear that. Now, one of the things that we pride ourselves on here, and I'm serious, I do want to hear that when it comes out. One of the things we pride ourselves on is giving indie artists a new stage to perform on, one more place, one more venue for them to get their music and story out to the fans so that they can perhaps pick up some more listeners. And, of course, what's important is maybe sell some more records while they're at it. So with that in mind, two things. First, I have a page on Facebook, The David Bowers Awards. It's the group's music page, and that is there for all of our guests and anyone else in music that wants to promote their own talents, their songs, their releases, albums, show dates, whatever you got in your music that you want to share with the listeners. Feel free. You don't need a press release or anything. Go to that page, post it up there yourself, and we can pick up on it, and we'll forward it to our other social media sites to get it out there and get it heard by as many people as possible. And the second thing I want to offer to you is the fact that this is your stage. We do like to help promote indie artists. So here's your chance to sell yourself, your music, and Floating Records. Tell the folks how they can find you, follow your story, what you're doing, your music, and, of course, most important, get your music.
Well, thank you for those wonderful opportunities. The second part, when I got here, I started to Idaho. I started something called Sun Valley Records, and at the moment, that's the best way to hear our music and see what we're doing. It's sunvalleyrecords.com. Floating Records is moving more into a distribution and recording facility, and the Sun Valley Records is coming into something more of the promotion and where the music actually lives. We do have Facebook pages and all that, and we're available on all the streaming platforms, and it's the County Well. Drink more, and I couldn't appreciate being on more. Thank you.
Well, we're very appreciative of you coming in and sharing your music and story with us, and we'll try to keep that in mind about, John, you can do that in moderation now, can't you? Drink more.
In moderation. Certainly
took
not
him a
like
second.
back in my 20s. It was a little different back then.
I noticed it took him a second to answer that.
Yeah, well, the idea is relax and enjoy things, not, the message. I didn't want the message to be, the message was a good one.
Exactly, and believe me, we do understand. Don Zimmer, ladies and gentlemen. Don, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. Do keep in touch. You're part of our family now. We want to hear from you what's going on in your world. We look forward to having you come back and visit us again when that new album comes out.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Don Zimmer with Country Well, Drink More. This is called Peruvian Lilies.
Your benevolence can't hide. Peruvian lilies by my side, gathering dust while you sleep, while you weep. Resting easy, resting hard. Flower scent without a card. Sweeping broom moves the hurt. Moves the dirt. Weeping willows wander through. Precious dreams, you had a few. Footprints sound through the door, across the